The audio got messed up on this part of the clip. This is showing our vermicompost or our worm bin. And we got 3 of these totes. You can see I drilled holes in the bottom of one of them already. So we got 3 totes from Home Depot. They were like 20 bucks a piece. So that kind of sucks. Cost me 60 bucks. Now, if you look at the difference in how high the lip is from one lip, that's how much space could be underneath where you can put dirt. So the bottom one just catches worm castings and worm tea or urine. The next 2 will have food and bedding for the worms. So as you can see there, you're supposed to drill a hole like every 2 inches. I just went in that framework and drilled a hole wherever it made sense. So I'm starting to drill the other one now. This is where the worms and the food will be to start, in the bottom of the 2. So I'm just drilling more holes in the bottom of the other one. So this is where the dirt will be and the bedding and the food, and I'll start the worms in this bin. Then, after they've eaten all the food in there, I will put the 3rd bin on top with new bedding and new food, and if those holes touch the dirt, the worms should be able to climb right up into it. Here, I'm making air holes so the worms don't suffocate. Very important, you don't want the worms to die. It's the whole idea. And again, if you hold them side by side and you see where they line up, that shows you that amount that's sticking up is how much I need dirt in the bottom of one bin, so that when I put the next bin on top, the worms can naturally just crawl up through the holes. So we'll do bedding, we'll do dirt, we'll do food. And then after they eat all that, and it's nice and black and looks like they don't have anything else to eat, you put the 3rd one right on top. If you have your dirt level right, they're going to crawl from the bottom one, or should I say from the 2nd to the bottom. They will climb up into this one because it's going to have new bedding and new food as well. When all the worms climb up into the top bin, then I take the middle bin out, I dump it out. If I see more worms, I throw them back in the bin. But if I get a couple worms in my plant beds or in my yard, I mean, that's a benefit. So I don't care if I don't get every single worm out of it. Okay, so we drilled out the top 2 bins. We've been collecting food scraps in here for, I don't know, you can't put all your food scraps, right? No meat, no heavy dairy, no fish, mainly vegetables, and it can't be like, you don't want a lot of citrus and you don't want a lot of tomato. They love the watermelon. We do have a moldy banana there, but they really like bananas. So today, the worms came. The worms came in this FedEx box. They went around and punched a bunch of holes in it. And then I ordered cocoa core for the bedding. They sent this sponges. I also ordered worm food from Uncle Jim. So we'll see. I would have rather bought the worms locally, but I'm not really mobile right now, and I didn't know where to look really. I guess I could have Google searched, but this was easy. This is what a lot of people are using, and they seem to have great luck. We're trying to make a layer of food and then a layer of bedding, and then we'll put some dirt on top of the bedding. So we're gonna let this swell up with water. We're gonna get some dirt to throw in here, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we have some outdoor potting mix here, organic. And then Jennifer brought up the bag of soil on her shoulder, and she's now putting some dirt in on top of the food scrap. So she kind of added some dirt here. I'm gonna level everything out. Here I'm just breaking down the cocoa core. So on top of the food and the dirt, we'll do a nice layer of cocoa core so that the worms have somewhere to hang out. Just keep adding more. I wanted to try and only use half the block. I ended up using the full block, but I think it's pretty cheap and it's like sustainable and all that. So, and then when we get done, they have a nice, they like that cocoa core, nice and moist but not dry. And there's how it looks like after everything's in. Okay, after all of that we did, Jennifer brought up the plants and all that stuff. Well, come to find out, the damn worms are dead. So I called Uncle Jim's and I said, well, I know the paper says, you know, that we need 2 or 3 days to let the worms come to life, but they haven't moved. I called them the next day. I was like, hey, she goes, what do you mean they haven't moved? I said, well, I dumped them out of the bag and they sat there, and I come back today and it's been pretty warm and they haven't moved. She said, do you want a refund or should we resend the worms, sir? So they were cool about it. Then there was another snowstorm, so then that delayed it. So today's Thursday. I think it's like over a week that it took me to get the second worms. But I mean, it was a snowstorm. Texas got snowed in. I mean, the whole country over there is jacked up, so I'm not really pissed off. So today the new worms came, and I wanted to open these on camera before I'd kind of already opened the box, just in case Uncle Jim's wants to have proof that I'm not jerking them around. I offered the lady video proof of the last one. She said she didn't want it. Oh yeah, we got a lot of worm action right now. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw these in here, and then I'll come over and grab the camera. Okay, here's the pouch. So look at that. They're going off. And they don't like the light. No, look, one's on the ground. Worms everywhere. Oh my God. It's a worm apocalypse. So anyway, they don't like light. I'm just gonna leave the top here off. I'm gonna hit them with a little water. Hopefully they're smart enough to dig down into the food and the cocoa core. So it's been about 10 minutes. And pretty much I see one worm there squirming around the middle. Pretty much all the worms have hidden themselves. They don't like the bright light. You're supposed to, if you want them to stay in the bucket, if you're afraid your worms are gonna, you know, sneak out, you just leave it under a bright light for a couple days. They don't like the light. That forces them back in the dirt. So we'll see how it goes. Not much to see now. Rotten food and worms. Maybe I'll come back in a week or so. Thanks, guys. Okay, so here's the worm composting bin. It's been going for about a month. The worms, it takes them a while to eat the eggshells, so I may not put eggshells next time, or I'm just gonna run this through the dirt. If the eggshells are in there, I don't care. Once I grow a batch of vegetables, I'm using my old dirt from any old pots I've had in the vermicompost here. So the worms will eat through all the old roots, and that way I can hopefully not have to be purchasing a bunch of soil. So that's what the finished product looks like. Maybe I rushed it a little bit. It had a lot more in here, so it looks pretty good. Had a lot of food scraps in there, and then we're going to see the bottom half. Okay, here's what it looks like underneath. Got a couple worms there on top. Got a little area of bedding over here with the wet newspaper, and you can see this is like branches and sticks from the next door yard. So I'm using old dirt here that you see as far as covering the food scraps and what they're living in. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm trying it. Let's get a shot. Yeah, I mean, look at that. And there's just an ass load of worms right there. Yeah, they're all over the place. So I think they're liking this environment. Haven't killed them. That's for sure. They are here, loud and proud. So I'll keep adding food scraps in. You can see we got to quit putting the eggshells because they're just not eating to it. They love the watermelon, but they don't eat the rind part. The green part they always leave, and I don't know why. That's only been in there for like a week. So we definitely have action going on in the worm bin. I'm happy with it. This is 275 worms. I may order 1,000. That way we can really be cranking through some dirt here. I'm not so much worried about getting rid of food scraps as much as I need to be producing fresh dirt and worm casting fertilizer.